Hello and welcome to yet another video. This is the 16th episode of the story, in which Naruto sets out to discover his true reason for being Hokage. Look out, Ninja World! A new Naruto Uzumaki has arrived. Please like and subscribe to show your support. Let's get the show started. Kakashi ran through the woods at a fast pace. His clone had dispelled after making it to the village's gate and left Choji with two ninja that had been standing guard. The state he had been in only helped to worry him even more about the team sent to retrieve Sasuke. He didn't know who was in it, but if Choji had been part of it, then he assumed that they would be genin. "There's someone nearby," Pakken suddenly spoke. Kakashi turned his attention to his summon, watching him sniff about in the air before turning to him once more. "There's two of them." Kakashi nodded to himself before he and his summon made it into a clearing. There were webs around the trees and parts of the ground had been dug up, clearly a jutsu, Kakashi's trained eye easily noted. He heard movement to his right and turned to see Kiba helping a hurt Shino to his feet. "You've got things under control here, I see," Kakashi deadpanned. His presence seemed to alarm Kiba as he quickly turned to him with his right hand reaching for a kunai. The Inuzuka relaxed once he took in the appearance of Kakashi. "What happened in here?" "Shino fought some sound ninja with freakish arms," Kiba explained with a scowl on his face. "I managed to get here on time to help Shino out. But he pretty much took him down by himself." "I see," Kakashi muttered as he glanced at the bug user. It was difficult to see due to the glasses he wore, but he seemed to be unconscious. Shadow Clone Jutsu, a single clone appeared at his side, walking over to Kiba and slinging Shino over its shoulder. Kakashi gave the clone a nod before speaking. "Take him back to the leaf." The clone left without a word, jumping through the trees on the wooded area. Once they were gone, Kiba gave the Jounin a look of confusion. "What do we do now?" "We'll keep going forward," Kakashi replied as he turned to his summon. "Are there any others nearby, Pakken?" The summon sniffed the air before nodding to the two ninja. "There's two more battles up ahead, but I smell a lot of smoke from one of them." "Let's go to that one then," Kakashi nodded to his summon before turning to Kiba. "Let's get going." Kakashi, Kiba, and Pakken sped through the woods with Kiba wondering how the small summon could run so fast. "We're getting closer," Pakken announced as they came upon changed scenery. "What the hell happened here?" Kiba wondered out loud, looking over the area. There were many craters on the ground, apparently from explosions, which were filled with pieces of wood and some branches from the nearby broken trees. Over here, they heard a voice from deeper in the area. Kakashi turned to Kiba and gave him a nod. "I'll lead." They walked through the debris before finally running into Niji, the latter looking a bit tired. Next to him, tied to a tree, was a sound kunoichi with red hair. "I managed to knock her unconscious, but don't know what to do with her," Niji explained. "I thought of just leaving her here, but she might escape if left unattended." "Don't worry about it," Kakashi waved him off before making a single clone. "The clone will take her to the leaf while we dash Kakashi." Pakken suddenly exclaimed, a look of alarm on his face. "There's a heavy scent of blood coming from deeper in the woods. We have to move quickly. Is there anybody else nearby?" Pakken inhaled once more before nodding. "Yeah, it's coming from the opposite direction. I can smell Naruto there." "Good." Kakashi turned to the two genin. "You two go up ahead and help Naruto. I'll be going to help whoever just got hurt." "Understood?" "Understood/you got it." Niji and Kiba spoke simultaneously. "Lead the way, Pakken," Kakashi ordered as the two ran from the area at their top speed, shocking the two genin that were left behind. Yugo stood over the fallen Lee with a smirk on his face. The malevolent chakra was still running through his system as he brought his fist back. This would be the blow to end the life of the trash that had dared get on his way. "Now die," he laughed as he brought his fist down on the genin, missing the quiet sound of chirping birds. As his fist descended upon the helpless ninja, he was suddenly struck by a wave of pain coming from his stomach. Blood splattered out of his mouth as he looked down to see a lightning-filled hand sticking out of the right side of his stomach. A single Sharingan glared at Yugo before he was tossed aside by a powerful punch. The sound ninja crashed against a tree just as Kakashi ran through hand signs. Earth Style, Earth Dragon Jutsu. Earth erupted in front of Kakashi before taking the form of a dragon and shooting at the Sound Ninja. Kakashi watched as his jutsu crashed against the ground, breaking a few trees in its vicinity. With the enemy ninja down, he let out a short breath before turning to the fallen Lee. "What did he do to you?" he muttered as he looked at the gaping hole on his right side. He wasted no time in making a clone and having it lift Lee up carefully. "Take him to the leaf as fast as you can. Don't stop at the gate, head straight for the hospital." The clone nodded before leaving the area. Kakashi turned to Pakin, shielding his Sharingan once more. "Let's go help out the others." Kakashi let out another breath, feeling a bit worn down. He silently scolded himself for ignoring his training and losing his old stamina. Using such jutsu in a row or running a few miles with chakra running through his legs had probably helped in wearing him down, but he knew that, had he been on his best, such a thing wouldn't have fazed him. Just as he took a step forward, he heard the sound of laughter coming from behind him. Kakashi turned around just as a wave of purple chakra filled the area, kicking up clouds of dust and breaking a few branches from nearby trees. "What the?" Kakashi muttered in disbelief as the chakra died down to reveal Yugo with a crazed smirk on his face. The wound on his stomach was no more. In fact, he seemed to have only gotten stronger. "This is fun," he chuckled before breaking into a laughing fit. "This is fun." More chakra flared around him before his eyes set on Kakashi. The Jonin took his taijutsu stance and uncovered his Sharingan. It seemed as if he would be needing it for this fight. "Go ahead and leave for now, Pakin," he muttered as the summon left in a cloud of smoke. Yugo smirked before the appendages on his back flared as he broke into a run. Kakashi's eyes widened as the Sound Ninja appeared before him only seconds later. Thanks to his Sharingan, he saw the incoming strike and quickly knocked the punch aside with his left hand. He threw a punch with the other, making contact with Yugo's chest, though having little effect. "What the hell is he?" Kakashi thought in alarm before receiving a bone-crushing blow to his right ribcage. He grit his teeth in pain before planting his feet on the ground. Chakra gathered around his left fist as he threw an uppercut at Yugo, making contact with his jaw. Yugo's mouth snapped shut with a cracking sound before he was thrown through the air. Kakashi was quick to run through hand signs before taking aim, water style, water dragon jutsu. Yugo watched as a dragon made of water neared him as he sailed through the air. He snarled before twisting his body in order to face the attack. His right arm formed into a type of shield before he put it in front of him, the powerful jutsu crashing against it. The Sound Ninja let out a few grunts at the force against his arm, but managed to hold out long enough for it to end. His arm ached in pain as he landed on a nearby tree, all the while keeping a glare on the copy ninja. "I'm going to kill you!" Yugo yelled in pure anger, more chakra flaring around him. "I will kill you!" Kakashi kept his ground as chakra flared around the Sound Ninja. It was true that the Sound Ninja had a lot more chakra than him, but he was too easy to predict. He let his emotions guide him, and for that he was left with several openings that he could easily exploit. Overall, in the long run he would end up as the victor. "But time is something I can't just waste," he concluded as he gathered chakra on his right arm, only this time using more than normal. "I'll end this with this jutsu." Fong over Fong. Kiba and Akamaru shot at Kimimaro as two spinning blurs. The Sound Ninja quickly placed both hands on the ground, making a set of large bone spikes rip through the ground in front of the Inuzuka. Kiba came to a halt, with Akamaru doing the same, before they could crash into the large pieces of bone. Kimimaro, sensing movement to his right, turned to see a large wave of sand coming his way. With a frown he jumped away from the incoming sand before pointing a hand at where Gaara stood. Just as pieces of bone gathered on his fingertips, Niji jumped in front of him with his Byakugan active. 8 trigrams palm rotation. Niji exclaimed as his jutsu came to life, blocking the incoming bone fragments. He came to a stop as soon as Kimimaro's attack ended, slipping into his taijutsu stance in order to be ready for whatever was thrown at him. The Sound Ninja glared at his opponents before feeling a wave of dizziness wash over him. His eyes narrowed as he put a hand to his head, the world around him swaying from right to left. He took a step forward only to have the world around him spin around him. Genjutsu, he concluded as he began to alter his chakra flow. No sooner than he did, he was met with a large wave of sand. He could do nothing as the sand enveloped him in a tight grip that only grew tighter around his whole body. Gaara watched with a bit of hope as his sand began to crush the enemy ninja. Kiba and Neji stood next to him, both with anxious looks on their faces. Ino stood against a tree with a few beads of sweat rolling down her face. Her genjutsu had helped in catching Kimimaro off guard, but she knew better than to underestimate the sound ninja, and, judging by the sudden flare of chakra, he was already breaking out of Gaara's grip. Much to the shock of Gaara, spikes began to cut through his sand. He tried to keep his grip on the sound ninja until a large number of spikes finally broke through the sand to reveal a furious Kimimaro. "I've had enough," he growled before placing both hands on the ground. "You all die now." Large pieces of bone began to cut through the ground, emerging from random spots around the group. Neji and Kiba were forced to move through the area as to avoid being caught by the spikes. Meanwhile, Io was forced to climb up the tree she had been supporting herself on, ignoring the pain shooting through her ankle at the lightest of movements. Gaara was quick to think and made a cloud of sand to stand on in midair. Once safe, he quickly made more clouds of sand for the others. "Get on them," was his simple instruction as the clouds neared his allies. Neji and Kiba jumped in the air and safely made it to one of the clouds of sand while Ino dropped from the tree to land on a nearby cloud of sand. Gaara proceeded to gather the clouds of sand next to his. The result was a large cloud of sand that kept them a safe distance away from the spikes ripping through the ground. Also, if they were together, there was less chance of them being caught off guard. Ino sat on the cloud of sand with a frown on her face. The whole area around them had been filled with large spikes made of bone, and Kimimaro was nowhere to be found. He just seemed to disappear out of thin air, and it made her edgy. Where did he go? Kiba voiced his concerns with a frown on his face. More spikes were filling the area as he spoke. Niji's Byakugan scanned the area before he turned to the others with a frown on his face. "There's traces of chakra on each spike," he spoke. "There's a larger source of chakra, but it's moving through the spikes at random. I have no idea what this means." "Maybe he's beneath the ground," Ino proposed with her eyes on the spike-filled ground beneath them. Niji focused his gaze on the ground, but found no sign of him actually moving through it. He only found the whole area filled with those weird bones. It was almost as if. His eyes widened in realization, quickly turning to Gaara in alarm. "He's moving through the spikes." No sooner than he said that, Kimimaro appeared behind Kiba with a large spike replacing his arm, almost like a lance. Kiba's eyes widened in shock before the lance tore through his left side, blood splattering out of the wound. The sound ninja withdrew his lance as the Inuzuka began to scream in agony, clutching his side while squirming on the sand. Kimimaro turned his attention to Neji but received a shot of water before he could get close. Ino's eyes were narrowed as she ran through hand signs once more, water-style, liquid bullets. Shots of water moved towards Kimimaro before he disappeared into another spike. "We have to get Kiba help," Neji exclaimed as he held Kiba down on the cloud of sand, the latter still screaming in pain. "I know a little medical jutsu." "Bring him over here," Ino ordered with a hardened gaze. Neji quickly picked Kiba up before laying him down next to Ino. Her hands glowed with green chakra as she looked over the wound, finding it to be too deep for her to heal completely. Slowing down the bleeding was all she could manage. They would need to take him to a hospital. "We have to take him to a hospital," Ino informed the two other ninja. "I was only able to slow down the bleeding, but his condition will only get worse if he's not taken care of properly." Neji nodded in understanding. "Then we'll have to take care of the sound ninja quickly." His Byakugan scanned the area once more. "Now that we know how he moves, I think I'll be able to see him coming before he gets too close." "Good," Gaara responded with his arms closed. Sand gathered around him before a sudden wave of vile chakra washed over the area. His features began to mend with the sand, half of his face covered by it and a tail forming on his lower back. "I don't know how long I'll be able to keep in control, but I'll try to kill him before I lose myself." I'll be your eyes then, Niji stated as he slipped into his taijutsu stance before addressing Ino. Make sure nothing gets to Kiba. Ino nodded, no problem. Kakashi's right arm filled with lightning as the sound of chirping became louder and louder. Yugo, watching as Kakashi prepared his attack, gathered chakra on his arm as it began to change shape. It took the shape of a cannon with chakra burning within it. Yugo pointed his arm at Kakashi as the chakra burned inside his arm. He prepared to fire, but a sudden memory flashed through the little rationality he had left. Remember, Kimimaro had said before the start of their mission, you are the most important member of this team. If you're ever faced with someone too strong, you are to leave immediately. The dark marks around Yugo's face began to lessen as he struggled to regain control. He couldn't let Kimimaro down. Yugo's train of thought was broken when Kakashi broke into a run with the jutsu on his right arm. Yugo knew that he couldn't take another one of those attacks without sustaining massive damage. He quickly pointed his arm at the ground in front of Kakashi, knowing that the blast wouldn't take him down but could be a good distraction. With a yell, the blast of chakra shot out of his arm, heading straight for the copy ninja. Kakashi's eyes widened as the large blast of chakra struck the ground before him. The result was a powerful explosion that forced him to come to a complete stop before running through hand signs. Earth style, mud wall, he exclaimed as a large wall of earth rose in front of him, covering him from the debris heading his way. The wind grew violent as Kakashi shielded himself from the blast. Just how strong was that blast? The wall came down as soon as the force of the blast was gone. Kakashi frowned from underneath his mask once he noticed that Yugo was no longer around. I shouldn't have let my eyes off of him, he muttered before running through hand signs and slamming both hands on the ground, summoning jutsu. Pakken appeared before Kakashi once more, clearly expecting being summoned again. Did you finish that ninja off yet? Not yet, Kakashi responded. I need you to find his scent and tell me where he's going. Pakken sniffed at the air before jumping up a near tree branch. He's moving towards where those genin were heading. We'll be able to catch up soon. Let's get moving then, Kakashi replied as the two broke into a run. Thoughts of Yugo's transformation racing through his mind as he ran through the trees. It was similar to Sasuke's curse mark, but he hadn't seen or sensed a curse mark on the ninja he had just fought. If it was some kind of bloodline, then they would be closer to finally finding a way to get rid of those marks. With this in mind, Kakashi quickened his pace. If he was able to capture Yugo, then the curse marks wouldn't be a problem anymore and his student would hopefully go back to normal. Naruto could see storm clouds in the distance, moving towards him. Judging by the quiet sound of running water in the distance, he was getting closer to his destination. The Valley of the End. The place where he and Sasuke would finally put an end to their conflict. Where his mission would hopefully end. The sound of running water grew louder as Naruto jumped up a tall tree and came to a stop. He could finally see the large waterfall adorned by the statues of the first Hokage and Uchiha Madara. The storm clouds blocked the sun as he walked towards the waterfall, the darkness giving the place an eerie feeling. Naruto looked around the area before finally seeing Sasuke standing on top of the Madara statue. He didn't need to see his face to know that there was a smirk on it, pleased with him playing his game. Naruto didn't like listening to Sasuke's request, but it would be the best course of action for his mission and team. The Chunin ran up the waterfall before finally kicking off of it and landing on top of the first Hokage statue. His mouth formed into a frown as he looked at the Uchiha standing on the other statue. They were on equal ground, looking at each other in anticipation of what was to come. You finally got here, Naruto, Sasuke smirked as his visible eye narrowed. This is where I'll repay you for taking my eye. An eye for an eye, is what they say, right? He slipped into his taijutsu stance as the first droplets of water began to fall on the ground. Let's see who's the strongest between you and me. Naruto took his usual taijutsu stance. I thought it was already decided that I was the stronger one, he taunted, earning a glare from the Uchiha. I don't have time for your pissing contest, so please excuse me for making this quick. The rain fell harder against the ground as the two ninjas jumped at each other, both carrying their own beliefs and walking different paths. This single fight would determine the future of the path they walked. Naruto and Sasuke jumped at each other, the waterfall roaring from beneath them. Naruto threw a left hook as soon as he was close enough, but Sasuke was quick to raise his right arm to meet the blow. The two glared at each other before gravity pulled them both down. The two ninja fell down the waterfall but didn't let up. Sasuke punched at Naruto's face but met only an open palm. Eyes widening, the Uchiha was pulled towards Naruto before receiving a hard punch to his face. His head was snapped to the side before the blonde proceeded to knee the Uchiha on the stomach. Sasuke doubled over in pain with an audible gasp, leaving himself wide open. Naruto held his hands together before bringing them down on Sasuke's exposed back. The Uchiha was drilled into the water with a large splash while Naruto landed safely on the water. Naruto kept his gaze on the water, waiting for his once teammate to resurface. He scowled when not seeing the Uchiha resurface yet. Sasuke, even under the influence of the curse mark, was a strategist, and giving him time to think was a big mistake. The Uchiha jumped out of the water just behind Naruto. The blonde quickly stopped the flow of chakra on his feet, instantly dropping into the water just as Sasuke punched at the area where he had just been standing. Naruto took hold of Sasuke's feet before pulling him into the water as well. The Chunin quickly threw a punch at the Uchiha, meeting his chest in a hard blow. Sasuke let out a silent groan before raising his right leg and digging it into Naruto's stomach. Naruto's breath left him and was quickly replaced by the water he was in. His heartbeat rose as he tried to swim out to regain his breath, but felt a pair of hands take hold of his right leg. The blonde swallowed more water as desperation kicked in. He kicked at the Uchiha, but the latter simply gripped his other leg with his right hand. Now without the aid of his legs and almost no air on his lungs, Naruto began to panic, failing wildly in an attempt to get out of the hold. Damn it! Damn it! Damn it! Think, you idiot! Naruto screamed in his head. His mouth closed shut as he quickly ran through hand signs. Summoning Jutsu. Sasuke kept his grip on Naruto before a large cloud of smoke formed beneath them. His brows furrowed before he was pushed out of the water by a large figure. The water built up on the bottom of the waterfall shot out of its resting place as a large summoning toad emerged from it, standing on the water with its arms crossed. Naruto rested on top of the toad's head, coughing violently and gripping his chest in pain. The Uchiha managed to land on the water without a problem but kept his gaze on the newly arrived summon. He had never fought a summon before, but he figured that this particular summon, a large red toad with a katana strapped to its back, wouldn't pose that much of a threat. Since it was big, he figured that it would be slow. Why did you summon me, boy? The toad asked the ninja on top of its head. Naruto coughed up water before glancing down at the toad. Sorry, he managed before looking over at Sasuke. I was desperate. You can leave now. The toad was quick to leave in a cloud of smoke, obviously angry at being summoned like that. Naruto fell on the water on all fours, still griping his chest in pain and trying to regain his composure. You look a bit shaken, Naruto, Sasuke smirked, earning a heated glare from the blonde. It reminds me of our first mission out of the village. You had that same helpless expression on your face. Naruto growled before running through hand signs, wind style, air bullets. Wind style, devastation. Sasuke countered with a large gust of wind, engulfing the incoming blasts. The Chunin frowned before running through more hand signs, wind style, devastation. The two gusts of wind met in the middle of the water, creating a powerful cyclone. Water splashed about as Naruto and Sasuke ran at each other once more with the wind howling around them. A single Sharingan came to life as the two ran at each other, and Naruto instantly knew that he had to kick it up a notch. Using the momentum from his run, the blonde leapt at Sasuke with his right fists held back. Sasuke leapt at the blonde as well, cocking his left fist back. The two ninjas threw the punch at the same time. Naruto's right arm meeting Sasuke's face but receiving a punch to his face as well. Both let out groans of pain before jumping away from each other. Sasuke broke into a smirk, ignoring the lingering pain on his jaw. Now Naruto, he muttered. as black marks scattered around his face, burning a red color as they moved around his upper body. Purple chakra swirled around him as his uncovered eye closed. "I'll show you my true power." The Uchiha's eye suddenly shot open upon hearing the sound of footsteps. A gasp involuntarily left his lips when seeing Naruto standing right before him. Before he could process what happened, Naruto's fist met the left side of his face in a powerful punch. Sasuke staggered backwards before receiving a kick to his stomach. Naruto watched as Sasuke doubled over in pain with cold eyes, not wanting to drag the fight any longer. His jaw clenched as he delivered a kick to the Uchiha's face, flipping him backwards. Sasuke landed on the water and began to sink before regaining his posture and using chakra to help himself stand. He grit his teeth in anger, looking at the dead last standing in front of him, holding a calm look on his face. "I'm done playing with you, Sasuke," Naruto announced before charging at the Uchiha. The Sharingan couldn't follow his movement, much to Sasuke's anger. When did he get so fast? Sasuke wondered as he stood his ground, knowing that charging at Naruto would be a bad idea. Why can't I follow his movements? His eye stung a bit as he focused his gaze before finally being able to see Naruto's movements, now appearing slower. Naruto kicked at Sasuke once close enough but, to his shock, the Uchiha caught his leg in a tight grip. He was then flung away but quickly regained his balance and landed safely on the water. "It looks like I have the advantage, Naruto," Sasuke spoke with an air of smugness. Naruto looked at him oddly, having no idea of what he was talking about. "My Sharingan is finally able to follow your movements." The Uchiha broke into a full charge, hitting straight for Naruto while running through hand signs, fire style, fireball jutsu. The powerful ball of fire shot at Naruto, who quickly used a single hand sign. "Shadow clone jutsu," he exclaimed as a single clone appeared at his side. Without a word, the doppelganger took hold of the original's extended right arm and flung him to the side, successfully dodging the powerful fire that engulfed the clone. Naruto landed on the ground beneath the first Hokage statue. "Damn, now that he can read my movements I'll have to use a new strategy," he concluded before running up the statue and landing on its head. He saw Sasuke at the bottom of the waterfall, still not moving from his spot on the water. Chakra gathered on the seal on his glove before Asuma's blade appeared on his right hand. Naruto gripped the blade tightly, knowing that its extended length would help on this fight. Sasuke could read his movements, but he wouldn't be able to dodge the wind of his blade up close. With that in mind, Naruto created two clones. He would need a distraction in order to get close before Sasuke could land any hits on him. Naruto jumped down the statue, with the two clones falling into line behind him. As soon as their feet touched the water, all three of them charged at the enemy. Sasuke ran at the three while taking out a kunai in response to Naruto's blade. His Sharingan caught the movement of the clones with ease, both of them running ahead of the original. Thinking that it would be a simple charge, Sasuke threw the kunai at one of the clones, dispersing it upon contact. The remaining clone leapt at him, but Sasuke was 2 steps ahead, already jumping towards him and diving under a punch before delivering an uppercut to the clone's chin. The clone disappeared in a cloud of smoke, blocking Sasuke's view of the original Naruto. His single eye widened in realization. Naruto had planned to use the clone as a way to hide him from view. No sooner than he realized this, he was met by the sight of Naruto emerging from the smoke with the blade on hand. His Sharingan caught the trajectory of the blade and, to his horror, it was heading straight for his remaining eye. Sasuke, not wanting to go blind, quickly raised his left arm to block the blade. Blood splattered out of Sasuke's arm as Naruto's blade ran through it. He suddenly caught a shift on the Uchiha's right leg and quickly raised his left arm to cover the incoming knee. Naruto pushed off the knee before spinning in the air and delivering a harsh kick to Sasuke's head. The Uchiha let out a cry of pain as he sailed through the air before crashing on the water's edge. Naruto stood on the water with a frown on his face, hoping that their fight was over as he stared at Sasuke's prone position. Sasuke coughed lightly before pushing himself into a kneeling position. "You'll pay for that, Naruto," he growled as he began to stand, staggering a few feet backwards when doing so. The black marks on his body lit a bright red as dark purple chakra flared around him, closing the wound on his arm. Naruto let out a short breath before gathering chakra on his blade. His eyes hardened on the Uchiha before breaking into a full charge against his opponent. Sasuke held his ground before running through hand signs. Wind style, devastation, the Uchiha exclaimed as a powerful gust of wind shot at the charging Naruto. Not expecting the jutsu, Naruto was blown away by the strong wind. He gritted his teeth as he sailed through the air before setting eyes on Sasuke once more, already running through more hand signs. Fire style, fireball jutsu, a blast of fire shot at the blonde, mixing with the still raging wind blowing against him. Shit! Naruto muttered as the fireball grew closer. Shadow clone jutsu, 2 clones appeared next to him, quickly taking hold of the airborne Naruto before flinging him away from the incoming fire jutsu. The fire and wind met in a large explosion that silenced the roaring of the waterfall. Naruto was caught in the explosion and was sent spiraling towards the water. Sasuke watched as Naruto crashed into the water with a large splash. The rain was falling harder against the ground with no intention of stopping. He turned to the water to see Naruto climbing out of it with his right sleeve missing, showing his slightly wounded arm. It looks like we're evenly matched, Sasuke spoke in a smug tone. Naruto frowned. Tell me why you want to leave the village so badly, he demanded, feeling a bit curious as to what exactly drove Sasuke to leave the village. Are you sure the curse mark isn't making you do this? Sasuke shook his head with an amused smile on his face. Don't you know already, Naruto? I told you before. My whole purpose is to kill the man that murdered my clan. That's why I'll leave to get more power from Orochimaru, he explained, pointing a finger at his face. Thanks to this power my Sharingan has grown stronger. With the power of this curse I can kill the bastard who took everything away from me. Didn't you already have this power when Itachi beat you in less than 2 seconds? Naruto asked with a smirk. Sasuke glared at Naruto with the utmost fury, fists clenching in anger. I'm taking you back to Konoha, Sasuke. I'll finish this mission once and for all. Niji's Byakugan scanned the area rapidly, looking for the sound ninja moving through the many spikes in the area while he stood in front of Kiba protectively. Ino kept watch of his wounds, slowing his bleeding as much as possible. Right there! Niji exclaimed, pointing at a nearby spike. Gaara quickly shot a wave of sand at the spike just as Kimimaro emerged from it. The sound ninja was pushed through the air with Gaara moving after him. The Jinchuriki reached out with his right arm, the sand covering it, shooting at the sound ninja before encircling around him and covering his lower body. Kimimaro let out a growl as the sand-covered arm held him in a tight grip. He was pulled towards the Jinchuriki before receiving a hard punch to his chest followed by a hard kick to his side. Gaara procced to point his sand-covered arm at the sound ninja as sand shot out of it, pushing Kimimaro through the air before knocking him against one of the spikes. The sound ninja dissolved into the spike as soon as he made contact, making Gaara curse as his eyes darted around the area before turning to the Hyuga. Where did he go? Gaara asked in a gruff voice. Niji focused his gaze on the area below before turning to Gaara with a frown on his face. He's in the spikes again, moving a lot quicker than before. Gaara nodded. I'll try to drive him out with my sand. Niji's head suddenly snapped to the left, eyes narrowing in focus. There's someone else coming this way. The Jinchuriki's attention turned to the left, seeing a sound ninja with orange hair jump out of the nearby trees and land in an area surrounded by spikes. The newly arrived enemy ninja looked around the area before Kimimaro emerged from one of the spikes. What are you doing? Here you go? Kimimaro asked in a concerned voice. Another Konoha shinobi interrupted my fight. A jonin this time, Yugo explained. I see. Kimimaro muttered with his attention on the gathered ninja standing on top of the cloud of sand. He turned back to Yugo and gave a nod. Escape while I take care of the remaining ninja. The sound of chirping birds suddenly echoed through the area, everyone watching as Kakashi arrived with lightning around his right hand. Chidori. Kakashi exclaimed as his attack neared the distracted Yugo, but let out a short gasp when another spike of bone suddenly rose from the ground, taking the attack head and protecting Yugo from the deadly jutsu. Kakashi's arm dug into the spike as Yugo and Kimimaro jumped away from him, landing on top of one of the larger spikes of bone. The copy ninja ripped his arm out of the spike before noticing the ninja standing on top of the cloud of sand. "Over here, Kakashi-sensei," Ino called with a wave of her arm. Kakashi turned to the kunoichi, catching the alarm on her tone, before jumping up the cloud of sand. He first noticed the bleeding Kiba and was instantly on his side, kneeling next to him. What happened to him? He was attacked by the sound ninja with a lance made of bone, Ino explained in a worried tone. "I can't stop his bleeding. He doesn't have a chance unless he's taken to a hospital." "Shadow clone jutsu," Kakashi muttered as a single clone appeared next to him, quickly taking Kiba on his arms. "Take him to the hospital as soon as you can. Do not stop for anything," he ordered. The clone nodded before leaving in a fast speed, shooting through the trees at an incredible pace. Gaara, seeing as they now had the aid of a jonin, dropped the demonic chakra flowing through him. The sand gathered on his face, dissolving into his gourd as he let out a short breath, feeling a bit worn down due to using it. Kakashi cast an eye at Ino's ankle, seeing it a bit swollen. "All right, Ino, stay here and try to heal your wound. We might need you later on," he ordered before turning to the remaining ninja. "I'll attack the enemy first. I want you two to back me up." Meanwhile, Kimimaro analyzed the situation with a careful eye. Now that there was a jonin on the fight, taking them all down was out of the question. Fleeing along with Yugo was the best option for the moment. "Things have changed. You and I will escape while I create a large diversion," Kimimaro informed while placing both hands on the ground. "Leave as soon as I cast my jutsu." "Got it," Yugo nodded as he readied himself. Kakashi jumped down the cloud of sand, landing on one of the spikes. His eyes narrowed when he noticed the flow of chakra on Kimimaro's shift, meaning that he was about to cast a jutsu. He felt a wave of chakra move through the ground and quickly jumped high in the air, dodging several more of those spikes, though this time they were a lot taller and rose a lot faster than before. Niji's eyes widened as he turned to Gaara. "The spikes are too tall. They'll reach us if we don't move." Gaara nodded as the cloud of sand broke into 3 parts and moved through the air, dodging the incoming spikes though barely. Ino held onto the sand as hard as she could since she had been in a sitting position and hadn't expected the sudden movement of the sand beneath her. Kakashi moved through the spikes, his Sharingan catching where they would be coming from. He ran up one of the spikes before kicking off of it, sailing through the air and landing on a tall spike. He took in his surroundings but found no sign of the two sound ninja. In fact, all that he saw were the spikes ripping through the ground and filling the area. The attack soon ended with the whole area being full of the spikes made of bone, nothing of the original area remaining. Gaara, Niji, and Ino were being held in the air by the clouds of sand while Kakashi used chakra to keep himself in one of the spikes. The copy ninja let out a curse before turning to the 3 ninja and came to a conclusion. "We'll let them escape this once." "What?" Niji let out in disbelief. "But why? Shouldn't we just take care of them now?" "No," Kakashi replied with a sigh. "Right now you 3 are too weak to fight. Besides, since Naruto isn't here, I take it he's up ahead, right? The 2 sound ninja might be heading for him, for all we know." "That makes sense," Gaara voiced his opinion with a nod. Kakashi jumped to a near tree's branch before running through hand signs. Summoning jutsu, he slammed both hands on the branch as Pakken appeared before him. "Pakken, I need you to take us to where Naruto is." "Got it," Pakken agreed before sniffing the air. He turned back to Kakashi before speaking. "Naruto's up ahead with your other student. It looks like they're fighting as we speak." "Let's get going then," Kakashi announced before turning to the 3 shinobi. "I will be going up ahead. Niji, use your Byakugan to follow after me. I'll make sure I'm in your range." With that, the copy ninja began to move. Ino stood up shakily but managed to keep herself standing, feeling a bit of pain on her ankle though not that much anymore. Seeing as her 2 teammates for the mission were looking at her, she gave them a nod. Niji's Byakugan kept sight of Kakashi as Gaara and Ino fell into step behind him. They weren't moving very fast, but they would manage to get there in time, at least that's what they all hoped. Naruto and Sasuke clashed once more. The Chunin's blade intertwined with a kunai Sasuke held on his left hand. Naruto sent chakra to his blade and began to cut through the kunai before the Uchiha kicked at his stomach. Naruto quickly rose his knee, meeting the kick without trouble before swiping at the Uchiha's torso. Sasuke leaned under the blade before delivering an uppercut to Naruto's chin. The blonde's head snapped up before he twisted his body to the left while throwing a kick, making contact with the Uchiha's face. He used the momentum to flip in the air and manage a crouching position when landing on the water before kicking off of it and heading straight for Sasuke once more. The Uchiha, recovering from the kick, wasn't able to block the punch to his stomach before receiving a knee to the face. Blood splattered out of his nose before he jumped away from Naruto, nursing his aching nose. "I'm done with this, Naruto," Sasuke yelled in anger. Chakra flared around him as the water beneath his feet began to move violently. The marks around his face began to connect and turn his skin a lot darker as more chakra encircled him. "Damn!" Naruto growled as he watched Sasuke's hair begin to grow. He had no idea that Sasuke could transform like the other sound ninja, and judging by the flaring chakra around him, he wasn't any weaker than them. A large black mark appeared in the bridge of Sasuke's nose as the chakra turned a darker purple. Finally, 2 wings sprouted from his back, looking more like hands than they did wings. Sasuke let out a hiss before setting his eye on Naruto. "Now, Naruto," Sasuke spoke with a smirk on his face. The wings on his back stretching as he bent his knees slightly. "I'll finish you." Sasuke shot at Naruto at top speed with his right arm held back. The Chunin gathered chakra on his blade as he prepared to meet the blow, but, to his shock, Sasuke's speed suddenly increased drastically. Naruto's eyes widened as he received a bone-crushing punch to his stomach. Blood and saliva splattered out of his mouth as he let out a gasp for air. Sasuke followed with a punch to his right ribcage, cracking some bones upon contact before sending him through the air. Naruto crashed painfully against the ground. His eyes shut closed as he struggled to keep himself from throwing up. Sasuke had held nothing back on his attack, and he could certainly feel it. He managed a standing position through shaky legs, putting a hand to his stomach. It looked like things had just gone from bad to worse. Naruto let out a hiss of pain as he clutched his stomach. A few beads of sweat trailed down his face, mixing with the blood trailing down his mouth and onto his chin. His right arm, now sleeveless, was full of scratches and a few open cuts, though nothing major. A frown etched on his face as he looked over Sasuke's condition. Much to his misfortune, he looked completely fine. The wounds he had inflicted were now closed thanks to the curse seal, not to mention the large gap it had put between their power. "You look a bit worried, Naruto," Sasuke mocked, noticing the frown on the Chunin. The Uchiha felt powerful, invincible, nothing could stop him on his current condition. It was euphoric. Like a drug coursing through his body. Naruto drew in a breath before slipping into his new taijutsu stance, the one Anko had drilled into his brain by making him go through all kinds of dangerous exercises. His eyes narrowed on the enemy as the grip on his blade tightened, wind coursing through it as he pondered on his next move. He was facing a much stronger Sasuke, one that could pose any non-senior Chunin. The fact that he had just come from a fight with Kimimaro and lost some chakra didn't make things any easier. The only way to beat Sasuke would be to come up with a good plan. Finish him in one shot. The only problem is that I don't know how to catch him off guard, Naruto frowned as he took a step forward. Man, who cares anymore? I'll just attack until something comes to mind, he concluded before breaking into a run. Sasuke held his ground as Naruto approached. His Sharingan could read everything Naruto could come up, which left him in no real danger. Naruto kicked off the water before throwing a punch with his right hand. Sasuke caught the fist with his left hand, but the blonde used his other hand to push his right arm downwards, getting out of the hold the Uchiha had on him. The Chunin planted both feet on the water before throwing his body upwards, his head making contact with Sasuke's face. The Uchiha let out a grunt before staggering backwards, giving Naruto enough time to land a punch on his chest, though it had no effect as Sasuke simply took the hit before the wings on his back wrapped around the blonde. Naruto cursed as the two arm-like wings picked him up and held him tightly in front of Sasuke, his eyes meeting a single Sharingan. His eyes quickly snapped shut, knowing that looking into a Sharingan was a very bad idea, before gasping in pain. The grip on his body tightened, his whole body shooting with waves of pain. He gritted his teeth in pain as he focused his chakra. "You lose, Naruto," Sasuke smirked before a wave of pain shot through one of his wings. His single eye widened as blood splattered out of his left wing, wind chakra ripping through it with ease. He cursed himself for having forgotten about Naruto's ability to lengthen the size of his blade and quickly withdrew his hold on the blonde. Wind encircled Naruto's right arm as his blue eyes snapped open in a glare. Wind style, he began as the wind began to swirl violently around his arm, drawing a few drops of blood. Sasuke had no idea what the new jutsu was and quickly put both wings in front of him as a shield. Whatever Naruto had up his sleeve, he would counter. Drilling fist. Naruto let out as he drove his fist into Sasuke's wings. His arm shook violently as his arm began to rip through the two wings, gusts of air shooting in all directions as his arm dug deeper and deeper. The Uchiha let out a cry of pain before dropping the chakra on his feet, instantly falling into the water and narrowly escaping Naruto's jutsu. The Chunin grit his teeth in anger as his jutsu dropped, blood running down his arm due to the cutting wind that had gathered around it. Naruto quickly jumped away from the area, not wanting a repeat of what had happened underwater before. Not long after, Sasuke crawled out of the water with a gaping hole on his left wing while the other was stained with blood. The Uchiha glared as he ran through hand sings before putting a hand to his mouth. Fire style, fireball jutsu, a giant ball of fire left the Uchiha's lips, heading straight for the hurt Naruto. The Chunin quickly ran through hand signs, ignoring the pain shooting through his right arm, before putting a hand to his lips. Wind style, devastation, he exclaimed as a powerful gust of wind left his mouth. The two attacks met with the fire overtaking the wind in a powerful explosion that rocked the area. Naruto, taking the worst of the attack, was hurled through the air as the explosion's shockwave kicked up large clouds of dust and water alike. Too hurt to do much else, Naruto sailed through the air before crashing into a heavily wooded area that shielded him from view. Sasuke kept his feet planted on the ground as the powerful blast finally ended. A frown appeared on his face when seeing no sign of his old teammate. He scanned the area, watching as chunks of rock dropped from the waterfall and into the water around him. He scoffed before kicking off the area and landing on the ground next to the first Hokage statue, seeing as Naruto had apparently landed near there. "Come out, coward!" Sasuke yelled impatiently. He wanted to keep on fighting, testing his powers. "Don't tell me you're done already." He snarled before taking a step forward, ready to look for Naruto himself before catching movement with his Sharingan. He turned his head upwards, a gasp escaping his lips when seeing countless of kunai shooting through the air and heading right for his direction. Sasuke scoffed before using both of his wings as a shield once more, his right wing in front of the left as to not let any kunai pass through the hole on his left wing. The kunai began fall on the area around him, some impacting against his wings but not managing to penetrate them. He kept his wings in place as more and more kunai fell from the sky, merging with the rhythm of the rain. After a few more moments, the rain of kunai finally ended. Sasuke retracted his wings, stretching them behind him as he scanned the area. Countless of kunai lay on the ground around him, but still no sign of Naruto. He frowned before hearing the sound of moving footsteps. Sasuke turned to the heavily wooded area to see Naruto come out of the trees with his blade on hand. Blood trailed down his face and right arm as he charged at him, but he didn't seem to mind as he quickened his pace. The Uchiha scoffed, knowing that a mindless charge would do nothing to him. He ran at Naruto and prepared to throw a punch, but, to his surprise, the blonde suddenly vanished in a cloud of smoke. Sasuke stopped dead on his tracks before Naruto appeared behind him with his left fist held back. What? Sasuke managed before Naruto's fist impacted against his back. The Uchiha grunted in pain before turning to the blonde only to have him disappear once more. Naruto appeared behind Sasuke once more, this time delivering a kick to the area between his wings before vanishing once more. The Uchiha staggered forward, hissing in pain before turning on his heel but, again, found no sign of the blonde. What the hell is going on? Sasuke yelled in anger. Just because you're stronger doesn't mean you'll win. Naruto yelled as he ran at Sasuke head-on. He kept on charging before vanishing in a cloud of smoke, taking Sasuke by surprise. I'll never give up. That's my ninja way, he yelled as he appeared behind the Uchiha and cut through the base of his left wing with his blade. The Uchiha let out a bloodied scream as blood splattered out of his back, the wing falling limply on the ground behind him. His hands shook before seeing Naruto appear before him with his left fist cocked back. Sasuke could only watch as the blonde's fist dug into his stomach before he disappeared in a cloud of smoke. What the fuck is this? Sasuke wondered as he gasped in pain, receiving another punch from Naruto before disappearing. How is he moving so fast? Is he teleporting? He received another punch, this time to his face before the blonde disappeared once more. Sasuke's head snapped to the side to see Naruto running at him from his left. The Uchiha quickly turned to the charging ninja, but he suddenly vanished in a cloud of smoke once more. Pain shot through his back, another punch from the attacking Naruto before leaving in a cloud of smoke. The Uchiha looked around for any sign of Naruto or a clue as to how he seemed to teleport around him. Sasuke used his Sharingan to look for movement before realization struck his features. He looked at the ground, and finally arrived to a conclusion: those were no kunai. Naruto appeared before him again, this time pointing a finger at Sasuke with a smirk on his face. Attack, he yelled as the kunai around him dropped their hinge, revealing themselves to be clones. The army of clones charged at Sasuke from all sides, the Uchiha quickly jumping high in the air before running through handsings and aiming at the ground. Fire style, fireball jutsu. An enormous blast of fire shot at the ground, engulfing the charging clones with ease, leaving nothing but smoke on the area. Sasuke let out a few pants and he landed on the feet of the Madara statue, the area around him now free of any clones. He watched as Naruto landed on the feet of the first Hokage statue with a focused gaze on his face. You'll pay for that. Sasuke growled before focusing Chirka on his right hand. This will put an end to all of our fights. We settle everything here, Naruto, he announced as the chirping of his jutsu began, lightning forming on his hand, Chidori. Naruto's eyes narrowed as he gathered Chirka on his right hand. Let's end this then, the chakra on. His right hand began to take shape. Spinning on his open palm and glowing a blue color, Rasengan. The two glared at each other before kicking off the ground at the same time. Naruto. Sasuke yelled in rage as he neared the blonde Chunin. The jutsu on Naruto's hand dropped as he pulled the kunai out of his vest. He flicked his left wrist, sending the kunai through the air before Sasuke's hand stabbed through his chest. Sasuke watched in glee as his attack ripped through Naruto's chest, life leaving his eyes before a smirk formed on his face. Sasuke's single eye widened as Naruto burst in a cloud of smoke. He quickly turned his attention to the kunai the clone had thrown, watching as it transformed into the real Naruto holding a compressed orb of wind on his right hand. The Uchiha, not being able to stop his momentum, could do nothing as Naruto dove towards his exposed back with his right arm extended. Wind style, spiraling wind ball. Naruto yelled as his attack dove into Sasuke's back, cracking some bones upon contact. Sasuke coughed up blood, the curse sealed leaving his body, before being shot at the water beneath them, falling unconscious before hitting the water. Naruto's eyelids grew heavy as he descended upon the water with his arms still outstretched. Having lost most of his chakra with the massive use of clones, he had close to no chakra coursing through his body, not to mention the savage beating he had taken. He simply smiled wearily before falling into the water, somehow knowing that his mission was over. Tsunade sat behind her desk going over a pile of paperwork. The third Hokage had told her that she should get used to doing paperwork since it was one of the things she would be doing daily for as long as she remained Hokage. She read over the papers but seemed distracted, her mind clearly elsewhere. The team sent on the retrieval of Sasuke Uchiha was taking too long. She was beginning to worry since the team had been picked in less than an hour, by a fresh Chunin no less, on a mission that they knew nothing about. Lady Tsunade. Shizune suddenly entered the room with panic on her features. We need you at the hospital. Tsunade was instantly on her feet, knowing that if Shizune asked for her then there was a big emergency. Let's go, tell me what happened on the way, Tsunade ordered as the two left her office. So, the Uzumaki won, a masked shinobi muttered, hidden among the trees in the area. The shinobi watched as the two ninja fell limply in the water before quickly breaking into a run. A group of ninja was on the way, so the job had to be done before any of them could get there. Retrieving the boy would be easy, covering their tracks would be the challenging part since the copy ninja, Kakashi, would be the one tracking them. The masked ninja kneeled on the water before taking hold of the boy his leader had asked for. The young ninja was slung over the shinobi's shoulder before the two of them disappeared in a whirl of leaves. Kakashi and Pakken were first to arrive to the Valley of the End, finding it to be in bad condition. There were broken trees, pieces of rock scattered around the area, and the two statues having some parts missing. Over there! Pakken exclaimed, motioning for the body floating on the water. Kakashi quickly ran up to the floating ninja fearing the worst but, upon getting closer, noticed that his eyes were open. He couldn't help but sigh in relief as he walked over to the shinobi gazing at the sky, the rain now falling lightly against the ground and a bit of sunlight peeking through the clouds. Looks like you had a rough fight. Kakashi began, looking through his student's wounds. His right arm was broken and bloodied, his blonde hair was stained with blood and his body trembled lightly. The copy ninja pulled the young shinobi out of the water, setting him lightly on the ground. You'll be all right, Naruto. Naruto let out a shaky breath, his eyes beginning to close on their own, but he couldn't fall unconscious. Not yet. Kakashi-sensei. Naruto muttered through gasps for breath. Kakashi turned to his student with a hint of worry. Don't talk, Naruto. Just rest for now, your team will get here soon. Naruto shook his head slowly as he looked at his teacher with a worn-down expression. As someone took him, he muttered, gaining the attention of the copy ninja. Naruto took in a breath before speaking once more, a masked ninja. He took Sasuke right after I beat him. Already on it, Pakken spoke just as Kakashi turned to him. The summon sniffed the air before shaking his head. Naruto's right. Someone else was here, but they covered their scents not too far from here. The rain washing everything away doesn't make things much better. I guess there'll be no point in looking around, Kakashi sighed out before turning back to his student, finding him already unconscious. He frowned from beneath his mask before addressing his summon once more. You can go rest now, Pakken, this mission is over. I'll see you later then, Pakken nodded before leaving in a cloud of smoke. They're up ahead. Kakashi heard from the distance. He turned on his heel to see Neji, Gaara, and Ino land in front of him. Naruto! Ino exclaimed in worry, seeing his bloodied unconscious form upon arriving. She quickly ran to his side and worked on his wounds, quickly closing what she could and trying to ease his pain. We have to get him back to the village, Kakashi said as he made a single clone. What of the Uchiha? Gaara spoke as the clone walked to the unconscious blonde and gently picked him up. He was apparently taken by a masked ninja, Kakashi informed, from what I gather. Naruto beat Sasuke but was too tired to prevent the unknown shinobi from taking him. We'll just have to ask him what exactly happened once he wakes up. Neji activated his Byakugan but found nothing. He turned back to the Jonin. What should we do now? Let's go back to the village for now, Kakashi ordered as he watched his clone leave the area with Ino falling into step behind it. There's nothing else for us to do here. With that, the Sasuke retrieval team left the area. A bittersweet feeling remained as they moved through the trees. They hadn't retrieved the Uchiha but had managed to come out alive from one of the most dangerous situations of their lives. It had been a small victory and a greater loss, but at least they were all okay.
That's it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and follow me on my other social media accounts. Anime God here, and I'm signing off.